Hello, my name is Evan Rama. I am a freshman at UT Austin, here interning under Internexus as a business and marketing intern. I am here with our special guest, Mrs. Peaches, and she's going to give you a little bit about herself.
Thanks, Evan. I go by Ms. Instead of Mrs. And thanks for introducing me. I work at the University of Connecticut Stores campus, and I do project management for the School of Pharmacy. And one aspect of my job is I'm the coordinator for the internship program that we have that is funded by the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And we place interns throughout the state in different health departments and health districts to support them in opioid misuse prevention programming.
Awesome, awesome. So let's jump right into our first segment, the value of internships. So students obviously are always searching for internships. Why do you think a student should pursue an internship?
Well, that is a favorite question of mine. I had my first internship when I was 17 years old in 1979 in my senior year of high school at the St. Petersburg Times newspapers in Florida. And I interned there for 6 months as a journalist, and it set up my entire career. So if anybody were to look me up on LinkedIn, they'd see how many years I've spent in journalism, in writing, in the teaching of writing, in editing, in publishing. And I believe that my internship really set the stage for my adult life. And I believe in the power of internships. I also appreciate universities that have internships as a component of undergraduate education. I believe that students will find so much growth in themselves throughout the process of an internship, not just growing in the area of the workplace, but also growing in their self-esteem, their ability to be creative, their ability to work with others and learn how to do that in an effective way. So I think internships are golden.
Yes, and every student, including me right now as a freshman, you need an internship to even get the next internship. It shows that you have experience in the work field and that you've already, done that. So that's really good. Students should start freshman year. Do you agree with that?
I do. In fact, mine was in high school, and I believe that internships should start in high school if possible, because it really sets you up also to do well in college when you've had those expectations placed on you on a daily basis to be part of a staff. So I think that starting in high school is an even better idea, and making sure that you have at least one internship during college, at least one.
At least one. Awesome. I agree with that 100%. As a freshman who has interned even his junior year, I've had many struggles and even successes during the application process for this internship. And I just wanted to ask you, are there any struggles or successes you've gone through in the recruitment or interview process?
Yes, that's a great question. So definitely we have struggles when it comes to scheduling because they want to make sure that they attend their classes and that they're not taking on something that's going to interfere with that. We also have struggles in terms of students feeling concerned that they'll lose focus on their studies. If they do an internship, something will get in the way of their priorities and compete with their priorities. We also have struggles when it comes to transportation sometimes, because of course the internship is not on campus, it's off campus.
Right.
We also have struggles because a lot of them are graduating and they have so many things they need to contend with in their senior years, and exams and so on and so forth. For everybody, there's the midterm and the finals that come up, and how do we manage to navigate around that so that they do well on their tests, but also don't abandon their sites, their internship sites at that time. Right. Sorry, see you in 2 weeks. Bye. You can't really do that when you're out in the workforce, right? You can't just take a break like that. So
Exactly.
those are some of the things that
full-time job.
Yes, it is. And that
Structured.
we'll probably get into that later. Yeah, it definitely is.
Right. And you've been doing this for a long time. What's the difference before COVID, pre-COVID, and then post-COVID with this whole process, the recruitment and the interview process?
I think that, well, everything changed with COVID. And I've been working with students for a long time now in all sorts of different capacities. And as far as recruitment, I'm not sure if it's the recruitment itself that was affected by COVID, but just people's ability to manage their lives during
Right.
COVID. And since everybody went indoors, everything became remote. So I think that it's post-COVID that presents more of the issue because students have to learn how to be in person again. Students have to learn how to be with people and not be at their computers in their dorm rooms. So many of us went inside during COVID and we're not allowed to function, in the outside world. So
Right.
I think it was a trend for everybody, not just students and not just interns. Yeah.
Did you guys receive like a lot less applications?
Uh, That I wasn't doing this particular internship during COVID, but I can tell you that what I noticed about students that were working with us in internships and in positions is that COVID, I think that COVID caused a lot of distress for people, a lot of concerns for people. There was a high turnover because students were dealing with a lot of emotions and losses and that sort of thing during COVID. So I think that COVID affected everybody, everybody, students and staff and faculty and the whole world, really. And I think, internships are always challenging and in a pre-COVID world and in a post-COVID world, because they really call you forth to be your best self and your highest potential. And that can be challenging sometimes. It's
Right.
new territory for some people to really bring their A game. They want to sleep in, they don't want to head to the internship site on certain days. And I partied too hard on Sunday night or Saturday night in the dorms, and I don't know if I can make it, but you have to. It's not something that you can
Right.
skip, like cut a class here and there, but you can't cut your internship. You got to go, right?
I
Right.
don't think all students know the value of an internship, but we can both agree that every student should at least experience one internship in their life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is what's going to prepare you for the outside world. When you come up through high school or private school, boarding school, college, there's kind of an isolation and a nest for you there that protects you from the outside world. And doing an internship takes you out of that nest and asks you to fly. And so if you wait to fly until after you graduate from college or graduate school, sometimes you're not quite as prepared as interns are for going to that office every day and living as an adult out in the
Right.
world as a professional. Yeah, absolutely. I believe in internships for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And that leads us into our next segment, discovering internship opportunities. What resources from your end do you think students use the most?
Obviously, academic internships, that's where they get their opportunities from. Postings for internships, faculty members who reach out to specific students and say, hey, I've got a spot in my lab this summer or this year, or will you work alongside of me on a study? That sort of thing. So departmental advertisements, for instance, for our internship, we advertise through different departments in the university. We're now starting a social media campaign where we're using Instagram and
Awesome.
doing some takeovers to advertise our internships. We just started that this year, so I'm very excited. And I think it's going to be a requirement next year for the interns to participate in the Instagram takeovers. So that's really been fun. So people will learn about the internship through Instagram. We've sent flyers out about the program. So I think mainly in an academic environment, students find out through the university itself. That's why your company is so great, because there's an outside resource for students to seek internships that look like they're global. So is that right? Did I get that right? That students can search global?
Yes, ma'am. Internexus is looking to expand, and we're right now helping high school students, college students with the whole internship process. And we know students have a hard time from being a freshman in college. A lot of my friends were having struggles finding finding the right internship. It's not about just getting an internship, but the right internship that follows your career path and what you want to do in your future. So we hope at Internexus to do that for students.
Yeah, and that's actually another reason why internships are so important, because they help you kind of focus in on what your passions are and where you want to see yourself in the workplace once you graduate. Having
Right.
that experience, you may spend your entire life thinking that you want to be a doctor. And then you get into a medical internship, not a medical school internship, which is required, but let's say you do some sort of medical internship, undergraduate, one summer, something like that. A whole world might open to you that you didn't see before, didn't know about before, and you
Right.
change your mind. We had 3 interns this past year change their career path
Wow.
as a result of the internship. So that's really exciting that
Awesome.
the internships expanded their mind so that they were able to see what else they might want to do for a career. So internships are important to expand, and that could be scary too. Some students may feel like, well, I'm afraid, I've been on this track, my parents want me to do this, and I've been saying I'm going to do this my whole life. I don't want to do an internship because I might change my mind. But don't let that stop you, because if you change your mind because of the internship, you were meant to change your mind. That was the
Right.
internship just presented you with the opportunity for the actual, likelihood that you were going to change your mind anyway. It gave you the opportunity to practice being in a different space from the one that
Right.
you've been toward. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. And I actually changed my career path, but I did it through a networking event, and it solidified after a college career fair. So I just wanted your opinion on students attending these events, the networking events, the college career fairs as well.
I mean, everything is good. Everything that allows you to be exposed to different kinds of thinking and different philosophies and different disciplines, it's all good. It's all welcome. You should expand your mind as much as possible before you declare your major. Because once you declare your major, then you're dealing with taking the courses that are required for that major, and you're really on a track. You've got those first 2 years of college to really look around, keep your eyes and ears open, be open to different options before you make your full decision. So I believe in going to career fairs, in meeting with different panels, doing everything you possibly can to get lots of input around what you want to do. Because one of the saddest things that can happen for students is they spend 4 years or even 6 years or even 8 years or
Right.
10 years studying on a certain track, and they wake up one day and say, that's not me at all. That's not
Exactly.
what I really do. And then there's so much money that their parents have sunk into their education, and there's so much time and energy that they've put into their education, and then they have to start all over. So it's better to take in all of the information that you can when you can, as early as possible, so that you make
Right.
an informed decision. And that's why when I did my high school internship as a journalist, when I say it really set the stage for my career, I knew even more when I completed that internship that my life was about writing, teaching, editing, publishing. I knew it because I lived it for those 6 months.
Right.
It allowed me to, yeah.
That's awesome. And I know some students, I don't know if you've had students come up and say, but some students do an internship and they do another internship and they still don't know what they want to do, right? Sometimes hearing from an alumni, some alumni or professors, their opinions might alter what they want to do. Can you elaborate on that?
The part about doing several internships and still not knowing what they want to do,
Or
that part.
do you think like an opinion from alumnus from different universities or reaching out to professors could also help change, their perspective, or like if they're not sure what career they want to go through, talking to these individuals could help.
I do believe that. Now, you can get lots of stuff from the internet. You can find out about different careers and what their paths are, what the requirements are, what the salaries are. But it's not quite the same as talking to a human being who
Right.
can tell you what their experiences were. So I'd say reach out to as many people as possible. People love to help, and give them the opportunity to help you share their experiences, what it was like for them, the ins and the outs. You'll make your own decision, obviously, but it's good to seek counsel from people who have been through that, so you can get a real slice of life, rather than something two-dimensional on the internet. Yeah, it's a great idea.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And that leads us into our third segment, mastering the application process. So students This is a big struggle for students, crafting the right resume, a standout resume, and cover letters. Do you have any tips for I guess for students who want to change their application or make it revamp it and make it better for recruiters? Do you have any tips on that?
I do, and that's a great question because the last night of the internship, we do a resume workshop and I help
Awesome.
them actually create their entry for the internship on their resume, on their curriculum vitae, so that they know what to write and how to describe what they've done. So I can offer some general tips, which are, is it the resume they're preparing for the internship application or for beyond school? Which are you looking to know?
Beyond, beyond would be great because students,
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. So when you're graduating, you want to emphasize not only your GPA and your curricular and extracurricular activities, you also want to emphasize different jobs that you've had, but you want to keep out things like the Burger Barn.
do you mind
And,
elaborating on that?
well, sure. So that's just a joke. But what I'm trying to say is that when you're going off to graduate school or to a prestigious career of some sort, they're not really that interested in your summer jobs at the pool
Mm,
when you were a lifeguard, that kind of thing. What they want to see is they want to see that you're targeting your resume or your CV for that particular job. So for example, you should have a little profile area at the top that describes you a little bit and says what your goals are and what kinds of jobs you're looking for, what kinds of positions you're looking for. So it's like a little snapshot of you, a little autobiography at the top of your resume. You should also make sure that you have different resumes for different positions. So you can tailor your resume or your CV to different positions, take out the things that aren't going to really matter to them and add in the things that are going to matter to them. If you just use a kind of like generic CV for everyone, it's, they're going to look at it and think it's a little bit kind of
right,
floaty, nothing
right.
really focused and weighted. You want to make sure that you change the little profile up at the top to reflect that particular job you're looking for, emphasizing the things that you've done that they're going to be attracted to. So definitely that, take out some of the nonsensical jobs. You don't want to just show that you've been employed because they don't want to know about your babysitting gig. What they
Mm,
want to know is, have you been really looking toward a career and what kinds of things have you taken on that you knew were going to help you with that career choice? So focus on the resume. The other thing too is that it's really not true that it has to be 1 page long unless they require your resume to be 1 page long. If you've got a bunch of experience and a bunch of volunteering, a bunch of community service, a bunch of clubs and organizations, you go past that 1 page. It's okay. As long as what you've got there isn't fluff, they're going to be interested in it.
right.
So go to 1 page, go to 2 pages if you have to. Give them the benefit of understanding who you are, how focused you are, how interested you are in this particular path that you're on. And you do that by including all the things that make a difference and none of the things that don't. So I hope that that was helpful.
Yes, ma'am. And some students that I know, they have a lot of activities they've been involved in, a lot of volunteer opportunities as well. And they don't have space to put all of that on 1 page, right? But we've heard quality over quantity. Do you mind elaborating on that? Because some students, they have a lot of great activities, but they have a lot of amazing, like over the top activities as well. And they have a lot to talk about for those activities that takes up the whole page. So they want to know, what do they do with the other activities that are still great, but just not at that level?
Well, again, activities, it depends on the career you're going into. So for example, let's say that you want to go into a graduate program in exercise physiology. Okay. Then you would include all of the different sports that you were involved in, anything physical that you were involved in. And that becomes important. But if you're going into medical school or law school, the different sports that you played and the emphasis on that isn't really that important to them. They want to know, were you in the Student Lawyers Association, the legal club? Were you, for medical school, were you in internships? Were you involved in lab work? Did you do any kind of community service that helped patient populations, that sort of thing? So again, you really want to target the resume to your reader and make sure that you're including the things that those readers are going to be interested in. So it's really not, it is quality over quantity, but that doesn't mean stick to a one-page resume unless where you're applying is specifically requesting a one-page resume. If it goes over a little, that's okay. I've never had a one-page resume from the very beginning. It's never been 1 pages. It was 2 pages, then it was 3 pages. Now it's 12 pages, single space. That's what happens over the years. You keep adding things, right? So, unless they say 1 page only, then go ahead and express yourself as long as it's targeted expression. Don't try to fatten up a resume by either putting stuff you didn't do, so you're lying, putting stuff that looks good that you didn't do because you're lying, or putting a lot of stuff to make it bigger and fatter when it doesn't even matter to the people who are hiring you because it has nothing to do with what you're being hired for. So use your brain. Use your brain. Do not lie on a resume. They will know. Bad idea. Tell the truth. Write a nice profile. Don't use giant font so it takes up most of the page because you're not going to fool them. They're going to know if you use a giant font, poster-sized font. Don't do that. Be straight, be real, but most importantly, get involved so you have something for the resume. Join those clubs and organizations. Get involved in community service. Get an internship. Oh goodness, the internship itself on a resume, when you describe the different things that you were involved in, the different responsibilities you had, that's important. Do as many internships as you can without it affecting your grades, of course. But that's the stuff that's going to really look good on your resume. You're going to show that you were out there functioning in a workplace, in a professional area, professional setting. That's what they want to see, that you really have put yourself out there outside of the expected activities of being in school. Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate you elaborating on that. Students who watch this podcast will definitely love these tips that you've shared with us today. Let's move on to the interview process, because I know a lot of students have questions about that and how to prepare for common interview questions. Do you mind sharing any stories or tips you might have?
Yes. So be clear that you really want the internship before you apply for it, because what you don't want to do is look like a flake. Okay. You don't want to apply for an internship and act like you're begging. And then when the time comes for the interview, say that something came up and you really don't want to do the internship anymore. Right. No pass. Really decide that you want the internship and go for the internship and stay in the process. So some tips. Be careful to address the internship coordinator or preceptor or whoever is welcoming you and inviting you by their last name and their courtesy title. Find out what it is. Don't swing out and call them by their first names. It doesn't really work. Find out who you're talking to. And this goes for any job you're applying for. Don't do this kind of like, hey, yo, kind of thing. First name, hey, Pete. No, you don't want to do that. You want to find out who they are, what their title is, address them by their courtesy title, get that down. The next thing is obviously know that you want to do this and do some research on the internship. Find out what it's about. Ask around, ask the other students, read up about it on the internet. Don't come in acting blind to what this thing is that you're applying for. Same thing with a job. Always know what the company is that you're applying for, what the role is that you're applying for. Make sure you do your homework before you apply for a job or an internship. And the next thing is respond within 24 hours. When somebody emails you, respond within 24 hours, because you won't keep a job in the world if you let things go for 2 days and 3 days and 4 days and 5 days. They will fire you, right? So return those correspondences. That's a good policy everywhere, with your professors, with everyone. It shouldn't wait past a day. Show that you're interested in people and what they have to say and what they're trying to convey to you. So make sure to respond. Also, when you respond, include the prior email. Don't send a fresh new email so that the person who gets 1 million emails a day has no idea what you're talking about. Include the prior email, right? Reply to the email so it's embedded in the email and they can see that. They can see the content. They can understand why you're writing to them. Some of us get many, many, many hundreds of emails a day, and it's really important to be able to know who this person is who's writing to us and why, what they're asking. Another tip is, make sure your resume is good, because when you apply for an internship, we want to see that resume. Even if you've been in college, you're a freshman, you haven't had a lot of job experience, but you still want to highlight the things you're interested in, the things that you've done, maybe in a club or an organization, some way you've been involved in the outside world, include that resume in your internship application. Also, make sure to ask questions. You know, I'm very interested in this. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? Would you like to meet over the phone to talk about it? What is your preferred way of communicating? You know, I'm definitely state your interest and be passionate about it. The
Right.
reason why I'm applying, 'cause what I do is when someone says, I really am interested in your internship, I write back immediately and say, great, tell me 3 reasons why. So you can actually preempt that by writing it and saying, these are the reasons why I'm interested in this internship. I will
I've gotten
accept you
those.
right away. You what?
I've gotten those emails. I would email the recruiter, and they would have a list of questions already prepared for me to answer via email.
Yeah, if you start out that way, these are the reasons I'd like to have this internship. It takes a step away from me. So I don't, it takes my work, takes something off my plate. So I don't have to write
Right.
back and say, oh, I'm glad you're interested. Can you give me 3 reasons why? Just come forth with it. Like, I saw this internship and what it involves. This is the career I'm going into, and this is why I think it'd be a great internship for me. And this is why I think that you'll want me as an intern, because this is what I bring. So many students have written some incredible cover letters where they explain why they're interested and the experiences they've had that have made them want to learn more about this just from their personal lives alone. When I see that, that's a star. That's a rock star. And I can tell right away that they're going to be great in the internship. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great points made. Whoever's watching, definitely listen on from segment 3. There was a lot of great things said. But we're going to transition into our final segment, which is maximizing your internship experience. So a lot of students intern and they give 50% effort into any task they were given. Can you share how much it means to give your full and do all the work you're said plus more for any internship you're given?
That's a great question. And it's got several layers to it. So one of the things students need to understand, or interns need to understand, is that the internship is there to help you grow and help you learn and help you expand. It's also there to do the same thing for the site. Okay, so, right? So when you are there, you are contributing to the site. You are bringing something to them. You're bringing your ideas, your creativity, your energy, your passion, your compassion, your partnership to them. So when you do half a job, when you give half of your heart, they don't benefit.
Right.
And they're less likely to want to have interns in the future. So it becomes like a creeping crud, basically. If you don't, sorry about that term, but it really is like a creeping crud. I mean, you go in there, yeah, you give half your effort and they're thinking, yeah, I won't do this again. Thanks, but no thanks, sort of thing. You have to remember that it's a 50-50 thing. It's 50 you and 50 them. They're
Right.
making an effort to support you in your growth, and you're making an effort to support their operation. They want the intern in there because of what the intern is going to contribute. They're not doing you a favor.
Right.
Everybody's everybody, right? This isn't like a favor they're doing for you. They're honoring you by bringing you in, and you're honoring them by doing the job and doing
Right.
it as excellently as possible. So don't forget that, you know, how you show up is going to matter for them. It's not all about you as an intern. It's also about their operation and what you can contribute. And the interns that act as if what they're contributing to their site is just as important as what the site is contributing to them, get offered jobs. That's what happens. They want you to stay on. And then all of a sudden you have a summer job. I didn't know I was going to get a summer job out of this. And then, but then you hear them saying things like, hey, by the way, give us a call when you graduate. I think we've got something for you.
And that's why it's
That's
so
what
important
happens.
to build relationships
Yes.
and network with
Yes.
your fellow employees or your fellow
Yes.
associates.
Yeah, don't walk into an internship and put yourself in a corner and sit in the
Right.
corner and
Right.
fill paper. No, walk in every day and say, I'm here, I'm ready. What do you got? What can I work on today? Let
And
me
a lot of
support. Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
you go ahead. It's okay.
I was just gonna say a lot of students, they go in thinking the CEO's not watching. He doesn't care about the intern. They're watching, and they
They're
care
watching.
about it,
Yeah, they're watching. They're watching because they're looking for talent for the
right?
future. They're looking for talent. They're scoping you out. Even if they're not in the room, they're still scoping you out. And sometimes they're doing it with their spies, right? They're doing it with the
Right.
people who you're working. They're checking in with them. So how's that intern doing? What do you see? See any talent? See somebody we should be investing our time and our energy into? They are watching. Make no mistake. So just walk into that internship, be professionally dressed, be ready to go, be well groomed, do not be
So important.
hungover, do not go hungover to an internship site. Do not do that. Always be completely clear and clean and dressed and ready to take on the world when you walk in every day.
Bring the best version of you to the internship, that interview, whatever you do. If it's the 56th day of work, bring your 100% always.
Be the same on the last day as you were on the first day, and be the
Right.
same on the first as you'll be on the last day. Yeah.
Exactly. We appreciate that segment from you. And we are actually done with all of our segments. We are just going to
Great.
conclude this interview or this podcast. Can you just share any last points or advice that you can give to a student, a freshman in college wanting to intern?
I guess I would say that think of the internship as just as valuable as your most valuable class. And bring your
That's
A game always. Yeah, bring your A game always to the internship, and look for internships that make you feel happy and like you're contributing. Don't go for internships just to get any
right.
internship. No, you want to get something that applies to what you are interested in, that lights you up, that drives you out of bed every day, because you want to feel that way about your career too. So don't make choices. Just don't make, oh, I got to get an internship. I think I'll just choose this one. It looks okay. No, you really want to choose something that makes your heart pound, right? Oh
Exactly.
my gosh, I'm going to get at the hospital, or I'm going to get to work in a law office, or I'm going to get to work, in a research library because that's really where I want to head, or I'm going to work in a lab, or, whatever it is, choose something that feels right.
That's awesome. Yes, students, if you're happy, if you love what you do and you go into your job knowing that you're going to produce great work. If you go into an internship that you have no interest in, you're not going to produce great work, right?
It's like anything in life. Why would you choose a career that you hate?
Exactly.
Right? It's the same thing. It's like getting married. Why would you choose a person that you're not really in love with? Right? So
Yes,
you're going to be a little married to your internship. So make sure that you like the internship.
yes, ma'am. And that's great advice. I appreciate everything you've said so far. And we're glad to have you on this podcast. This is actually our third podcast that we're recording here at Internexus. So we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. I'm really interested in Internexus, and I can't wait to get involved with the company and start sending students to you to look for internships and so on and so forth. So thanks so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Evan.